This is my ultimate vocal chain. Getting a vocal to sit naturally in a mix without it sounding harsh, muddy, buried, or completely overprocessed is one of the biggest struggles when it comes to mixing. And when the vocal isn't working, it's easy to assume that you're missing something, a better compressor plugin, a more expensive microphone, or some secret vocal source that only the professional mix engineers seem to know about. Now, I don't have a Grammy or a #1 single to my name, but I do have years of experience of mixing and producing tracks that have gone on to do millions of streams. They've been played on TV and radio stations all over the world, on Netflix, video games, all kinds of stuff. And because I primarily work with independent artists, that means that most of these tracks have vocals that have been recorded in home studios or small bedroom setups. So I can say from experience, you probably already have all the gear you need in order to get great sounding vocals. What you might be missing is a simple, repeatable process for getting from a raw vocal sound to something that actually belongs in a track in a way that connects with your listeners. So today I'm going to show you my ultimate vocal chain inside Logic Pro using nothing but the stock plugins to show you that you already have everything you need. And more importantly, we're going to use those tools to shape a vocal sound which suits the feeling and the emotion of the song. So we're now at episode 7 in this series where I'm mixing this track from start to finish with a total emphasis on feeling and emotion rather than the overcomplicated technical stuff that so many mixing tutorials seem to focus on. Today we're talking lead vocals, and much like in the rest of the series, we're paying attention to the feeling of this vocal more than anything else. So what is the feeling of this vocal? Well, let's take a listen. This is what the raw, unprocessed vocal sounds like with nothing on it.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. Summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh.
So I said at the beginning of this series that this song to me is an intimate message from one person to another. So I want it to feel very personal and very up close. The song in general also has this warm, kind of nostalgic feeling to it. So that means I don't necessarily want bright, polished, airy female pop vocals here. I want something which is warm. I want something that feels like it's right in the ear of the listener, and something where we can clearly hear all the details of her voice, because that's what's going to give it that up close, intimate and personal feeling. Now, this vocal was recorded on an SM7B in a bedroom during lockdown. So this is classic DIY home recording. It doesn't get more DIY home recording than this. There's no vintage tube mics being used here. There's no expensive analog front end or anything like that. So because of that, the first thing that I want to try and do is emulate a bit of that analog richness that you would get from recording through outboard gear. And having some of that analog character is also what helps with the thickness of the vocal. It helps smooth the vocal out and smooth out some of the dynamic inconsistencies. And it's also going to help the vocal to sit better in the mix later down the line and save us from over-processing it when we start to add more plugins. So the first stage of this vocal chain is just about trying to recreate that feeling of a vocal being recorded through some analog gear, and we can do that using Fat Effects. Now, before anybody jumps in to tell me this is not really analog, but you should be using this plugin or this particular piece of expensive hardware, front-end preamp, remember, we are just trying to recreate a feeling here. We're not trying to recreate a like-for-like replica recording chain, which is a perfect recreation of thousands of pounds worth of expensive vintage gear. We're just trying to get a feeling that this has a bit more saturation and character and color to it, which is going to help it sit better in the mix. So in Fat Effects, we're just going to focus on this distortion section with the dirt, the saturation, the soft saturation, and the tube settings. And we're going to use these to dial in this kind of analog preamp sound. Over in the compressor as well, which I'm just going to turn on and then back off, we're going to set it to the vintage FET model, and we're going to set sort of a medium fast release. We're going to keep that off for now. We'll come to that. And that's just going to help smooth out some of the dynamics as well, as if we were recording through a preamp into an 1176 style compressor, which is in my vocal chain over here. This is what I like. If I'm recording vocals for anybody, then I tend to record through a 1073, a Neve 1073, into this 1176. So we're just trying to recreate a bit of that feeling, maybe with a bit of extra tube saturation as well. So let's dial this in and see what it sounds like.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on.
We can push this dirt quite hard, and it just adds a kind of nice character to it.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh, say it like you mean it. For me, oh. Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong.
All right, now let's dial in some compression as well. We don't want loads here, we're just touching it, just to give it a bit of extra dynamic control.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh, say it like you mean it. Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck.
Cool, it just sounds thicker, it sounds a little bit more full. It sounds a little bit louder as well, but actually when you look at the meters, it's not. It's just the perceived loudness. We're adding this harmonic saturation and we're doing a bit of compression. So I'm happy, but it is a little bit brighter now than I want it to be because I want this sort of darker, warmer sound. So I'm just going to roll off some of the top end using this bandpass up here.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh, take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there?
Yeah, cool, that's nice. It's a little bit thicker, there's a bit more body to it. And this is where it's all about taste and the kind of thing that you're going for in terms of feeling. If you want bright, polished, airy, breathy vocals, then I wouldn't roll off that top end, I'd keep that. But in this case, I want the vocal to feel a little bit warmer and have that sort of more nostalgic sound, which is not super bright and super polished. So that's stage one done in terms of adding this harmonic saturation to the vocal at the beginning, just to give it some extra thickness and help it sit in the mix a bit more. The next stage is to deal with any problems that we're coming across and fix them before we start adding the good stuff to this vocal. So the first thing is to identify what are the issues in this vocal, what are we working with, what do we need to do to it? Well, the first thing is the vocal's not overly dynamic, which is not an issue. It just means that we don't have to worry too much about controlling massive peaks in a vocal. It's not like she's doing these big belting sections and then super quiet stuff where the vocal's up and down. It's kind of just one thing in terms of the level. It gets a little bit louder in the chorus, but that means I don't have to worry too much about like excessive dynamic control. People love to tell me that I should clip gain vocals. Or whenever I do a vocal mixing tutorial on YouTube, I get comments, people going, shouldn't you be clip gaining your vocals? And I always say the same thing, which is like, there is a time and a place for that when you have a super dynamic vocal that needs specific treatment to stop overworking the compressor, but this isn't that kind of vocal. So to me, it's probably not going to be necessary. The vocal is very sibilant, so we are going to want to deal with that with a de-esser. And then there's also a bit of like low mid build up and some low end rumble that we can deal with some basic EQ. Those are the things that I'm hearing straight away. So let's look at addressing them. We're going to start with dealing with the sibilance issue because that's the biggest one for me. The S's are really quite harsh. So let's try and dial that back with a de-esser.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when? Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train.
Go over to this Summer Sings.
The summer sings and I'm
Starting to sound a bit whistly there.
The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding. The summer sings and I'm alive, but the summer sings. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on.
This Logic de-esser is really powerful. It has a bunch of different settings, different modes, different range, different filter. I tend to like this shelf filter, so everything above the frequency that we set over here is being affected. And then I just play around between the modes and the ranges to see what sounds most natural. In this case, this is the setup that works on this vocal, but I would just say experiment, see what works. At the end of the day, it's just a de-esser. So long as it's not overcooking the vocal, then we're usually pretty good. That sounds good to me. I'm happy to move on. Now, what I would say is there's not loads of tonal problems with this vocal. I don't listen to it and think, oh, it's super muddy or it's harsh or anything like that. It's quite smooth sounding. It sits in the mix quite nicely, just naturally. So there's not a ton of stuff we need to do. I don't need to go in with an EQ and just start doing all these crazy random cuts and boosts and stuff. There's just a couple of places that I want to deal with, probably around this sort of 300, 200, 300 area. There's a little bit of boxiness, and I think there's a bit of low-end rumble happening. Let's take a listen and see what's going on.
Summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there?
So there's all this low-end information, which is just rumble and junk. We can get rid of that. High pass about 125. I don't want to go too crazy, but that's getting rid of all that junk.
Summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there?
Now, what I would say about this area around here, the 270-ish area, is it adds a lot of warmth to the vocal. And one of the things we said in the plan was that we want the vocal to feel warm. So if I take too much of this away, the vocal's going to start sounding thin. So we have to be careful. I don't want to cut away too much of this, but I also don't. There is a bit of resonance that I do want to deal with.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. Summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh.
Cool, I'm happy with that. I don't think I need to do any more. It's just a little cut, 266 hertz, 3.9 dB, and then taking out some of this low-end junk. I don't really feel like I need to do any more at this stage. I'm not hearing any more issues. If you're not hearing any more issues, don't just start pulling frequencies out and boosting things, cutting things, just because you feel like you should. The less you have to do, the better. And in this case, I don't feel like I have to do much more than that. So when it comes to building a vocal chain, I think about it in these stages where we have this first stage, which is that sort of analog preamp recreation, emulation sort of stage. And if you're recording through really nice preamps and outboard stuff, then you don't really need that stage. But in this case, the vocal's not been recorded through that, so I want to try and emulate some of that. Then we have the correction stage where we just correct any issues that we're hearing. What are those issues? In this case, it was a bit of sibilance, so we've got the de-esser, and then the stuff that we cleaned up with this EQ. And that's really all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. Think about it in stages and just work through it in a practical way, making sure that you're constantly thinking about the feeling and the plan that you have for the vocal and how you want it to feel, and that you're respecting that. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. You don't need any crazy plugins. You don't need Soothe 2 or any sort of de-harsh, de-box, do this, do whatever plugin. You can just use an EQ and a de-esser, it's fine. So the next thing that I'm hearing is that the vocal in places does just disappear a little bit. I want the vocal to feel up front and I want it to feel intimate. That's what I've said all along. So we need to address the fact that it's not currently doing that. It is dropping away a little bit, particularly towards the end of the verse. It gets a little bit buried in the mix. And I want the vocal to feel up front and consistently right here.
Call me when you get there. I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh.
You know, in these sections, it just feels like the vocals are fading into the mix a little bit. It's not really where I want it to be. I want it to be in the ear of the listener. So we're going to use some compression to do that. And we're going to be quite aggressive. Even though this track is soft and the vocal is not in any way aggressive, we can be aggressive with the compression because we want to bring that vocal forward. And in order to give the illusion that the vocal is right in the ear of the listener and is up front, we need to accentuate the diction of the vocal, particularly the consonants and the transients of the voice should feel very close and up front. We want to protect them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Vintage FET, which is an 1176 style compressor. It's probably the fastest of all of these compressors in the Logic stock compressor. You can use any compressor here that reacts quickly. In this case, I'm using the Vintage FET because of its fast release and attack times. I'm going to set a super fast release because I want the vocal to come through and then the compressor to immediately react again. And then we're going to set the attack somewhere around here. And what we're going to do is crush this vocal and then we're going to blend it back in. And it's going to sound crap to begin with, but when we blend it in, it'll all make sense.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong.
Probably push that even further. Let's add another 7 dB into the input.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings.
Yeah, it's really accentuating the k and the t. That's good, that's what we want. Now let's just dial the threshold back so it sounds a little bit more musical, and then we'll blend that in using this mix knob.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong.
Let's hear it in the mix.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings, and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh, take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings, and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there?
You can hear how the vocal has this feeling that now it's closer, feels more intimate, the diction is clearer, the transients are clearer, and the vocal feels much more upfront. The compression might not be completely right just yet in terms of we might be overcooking it with this particular compressor, but what we're going to do is actually follow it up with another stage of compression, which is going to solidify it, it's going to shape the tone a little bit more and give it a bit more thickness, which means that we can actually back off some of this super heavy compression here and go for something a bit smoother. So I'm going to use this vintage Opto, which is like an LA2A recreation. It's going to give us a slower, thicker, a smoother kind of vocal sound, which is going to help with those tails that are tailing off. Going to set the release a little bit longer, the attack somewhere around here. I'm also going to engage this soft distortion circuit because it adds this really nice kind of thickness, but it does also add a bump in the level. So I'm just going to bring the output down by about 3 dB. And then let's dial this in and see what it sounds like.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings, and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings, and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong.
Let's go back to the other compressor and just dial some of this compression out.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings, and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh.
So this compressor, the 1176 style compressor, is helping bring more diction, more up close, more sort of like transient, percussive feeling to that vocal. And then this second compressor is bringing more thickness. It's helping glue the vocal in place. It's helping sit it right where it should be. And like I say, it may be a bit overcompressed at the minute, but we'll tweak this as we go. You also notice that there's quite a bit of noise coming out from this vocal, whereas recorded on an SM7, they tend to be a bit noisy. And we're adding that compression, is bringing the noise floor up. I'm not too worried about that because in the context of this kind of song where it's a bit nostalgic and sort of tapey sounding, that noise is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. I think it adds something to the feeling of the track. Obviously, we don't want it to become overwhelming, so we might just dial that in a little bit more as we go and we get a bit more information about how this is shaping up. But also when we start adding in reverbs and stuff like that to the vocal, it's going to help to mask some of that noise a little bit. So I'm not too worried about that. It's just a trade-off. You know, I want this vocal ultimately to be intimate and warm and upfront, and sometimes there's a compromise, and that compromise is that maybe the vocal's going to be a bit noisier than we want it to be. That's fine. Like I say, I'm not going for totally polished pop vocal here. So if anybody's ready to go, you should be using isotope denoise on this vocal, blah, 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 blah. I don't want it. It's not the feeling of the song. If this was super squeaky clean, polished pop, then I might look to do something like that. But that's not this song. That's not the feeling that we're going for. Now, one of the most common frustrations that people talk to me about when it comes to mixing vocals is they say, well, my vocal feels buried in the mix, so I turn it up so that I can hear it more, but now it feels like it's poking out of the mix and it's just sticking out like a sore thumb. So they turn the vocal back down and once again it feels buried and the mix feels muddy and they can't hear the vocal and the vocal's got no clarity. So then they try boosting the top end of the vocal and then the vocal feels harsh and it feels thin and brittle. So they reduce the top end again and now it feels muddy and trying to get the balance between all of these things is really, really hard and they just kind of feel frustrated by that. So if you feel like that, you're not alone because loads of people feel that way. And this vocal chain has the solution to this. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a send and I'm going to send it to bus 20 over here. And then we're going to send this to the mix bus as well. And we're going to call this Bright Vox. And what we're going to do is use this send as an independent control for the top end of the vocal. So we're going to create like a top end excitement enhancer that's just going to be on this fader and we can blend this into taste. And this is what's going to help retain the clarity in the vocal and help it cut through the mix without the vocal sound like it's sticking out like a sore thumb or without it feeling like it's getting buried. So the first thing to do is create this send bus 20. It can be any bus you want. Doesn't have to be bus 20. Important thing is it's being sent to the same bus as the lead vocal. In my mix, that's the mix bus. So both of these going to the mix bus. Then we're going to send it 100%. And I'm also going to say it's pre-fader. And it's pre-fader because then if any adjustments I make to the level of the vocal are not affecting what's going into this. And that's important because we're going to be using a bit of saturation and compression and stuff like that. So we don't want it to affect what's going in here. It also allows us to solo this vocal and not worry too much about what's happening here for now. We're going to create something that sounds horrendous, then we're going to blend it back in with the lead vocal, and that's going to be the magic. Trust me, I've done this a million times. So we're going to use Fat Effects again, because I love Fat Effects. It's the best plugin in the world, at least the best plugin in Logic. We're going to use the Exciter. This is where we're going to start. We're just going to boost this, see what it sounds like.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on.
It's not particularly nice, but it's bright. And then we're going to use this bandpass filter. I'm going to turn off the resonance. We're not doing any extra boosting. And we're just going to filter out everything below, like, I don't know, let's try 5K.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong.
And now we're going to add a compressor in. And we're going to go for the vintage FET again. We're going to set this like 8:1 ratio. And we're going to go super fast release, super fast attack. So we're just going to smash this.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there?
We're also going to use the soft distortion circuit again here, just to give it a bit of extra enhancement. You can hear now we're pinning that top end. And what this is doing is we're creating this sort of top end excitement with the exciter and this filter over here in Fat Effects, and then we're using the compressor to lock that in. So it's kind of pinned that level of that top end excitement. And then we're going to blend this back in eventually. We're not quite there yet. We've got a couple more things to do. Let's just push this a bit harder.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there?
Cool. And then let's go to the tube EQ, the vintage tube EQ, and let's do another boost. We're going crazy with these boosts. High bandwidth, high boost.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck.
Oh, we also want to set this to linear phase mode as well, to make sure it stays in phase with the lead vocal.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there?
Okay, then we're going to bring the level of that bright vocal down. We're going to bring the lead vocal back up. We're going to listen in context of the mix. And then we're going to bring this bright vox fader in. One thing I'm also going to do is right click on this bright vox and go create track. It's going to bring that track into the arrange window as well. And that's just useful to keep it next to the lead vocal. So let's bring that up in level in the whole mix and see how this helps with the clarity of the lead vocal.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh, say it like you mean it.
Okay, instantly it's helping the vocal to cut through the mix a bit more. We have to be careful we're not using too much of it, or we really are going to boost that noise and the vocal's going to sound a little bit thin. I also might just bring a little bit more low mid back into this track so it doesn't sound quite so thin.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh, say it like you mean it. For me, oh, tell me that you feel it. Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh.
Okay, so we've shaped the core vocal chain and that sounds pretty good to me. But what I want to do now is treat these two things as one. So they act as one lead vocal sound, which we can then send to effects and we can do anything else we need to do to these vocals together. So what I'm going to do is select both of these and make this a track stack, or summing stack in this case. And I'm going to call this lead, let's call it LVOX. That's how I normally title it. And then we're going to make that a mono bus. And then basically now we're going to use this to control the level of the vocal. Any processing we do from now on is going to be done on this lead vocal stack. And if we need to go back in and sort of change that brightness, we can change that brightness. But anything that's going to reverbs, delays, any of the effects, whatever, is coming off of this lead vocal bus rather than off this track, because if we go off this track, it's just sending this lead vocal. It's not sending the bright vocal. We could set sends up on both of them, but that just becomes fiddly. It's much easier just to put it to this summing stack and then send it from there. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm feeling like the vocal sounding good with the processing that we've done so far, but it's also feeling a little bit scooped to me. I feel like it's maybe lost a bit of mid-range detail. I want to push the mid-range a little bit more in a kind of broad stroke way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the vintage console EQ, which is like a Neve 1073 style EQ. We're just going to boost some mid-range and see how it sounds.
Take a ride Monday night and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync and all my words come out wrong. Oh, say it like you mean it. Take a ride Monday night and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? Take a ride Monday night and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there?
Yeah, great. That boost is just bringing the vocal forward a little bit more. It's giving it a bit more cohesion, a bit more warmth. And this is the principle of this vocal chain, is that we have this kind of core stack here where we bring in some analog emulation, we deal with some issues, we shape the basic tone when we get the vocal sounding right up front. And then we use this bright vox bus to make sure that the vocal is always cutting through the mix and that top end is controlled in a way that's not harsh and it's not overly sibilant, it's smooth and we have total control over it. And then we just use this track stack and this bus to do some overall tone shaping. And that tone shaping is just whatever you feel the track needs in that moment. In this case, I just felt like it was a bit of a mid-range bump and I've used this 1073, this Neve style vintage console EQ to do that. You can use any EQ or anything you like to do this. It doesn't have to be this particular plugin, but like I say, you can do it with this. It sounds great. I'm really happy with how that is. Let's move on to the effects. So when I showed my template earlier on in the series, I showed you these buses over here that are built into my template. They live in here. These are all my effects buses and they have various different setups, mostly from my Ultimate Pop Vocals pack. Basically just a bunch of different things that are ready to go. There's a dark plate, this shimmer thing, this mid-verb, which can be anything I want it to be, a room reverb, some slap delay, different types of delay, quarter note, eighth note, and this ping pong delay, plus some widening and this sort of chorus effect. And all of these are useful in different ways. We're not going to use all of them, but we're going to pick from these in order to enhance the feeling of the vocal that we want. And in this case, the first thing that I want to do is just make the vocal feel a little bit bigger, go even more into that feeling of intimacy and warmth and the vocal sort of being up front. I want to give the vocal a bit more width and a bit more authority across the whole stereo field. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send from this lead vocal bus, as I mentioned, and we're going to go to this width bus down here. And this is just an instance of the sample delay with this high-end boost in the sides only. So it's basically just this processing, this mid-side processing is just doing this top-end boost in the left and the right. If we crank this, you'll hear that it becomes this very obvious widening double effect, but that's not what I want. I just want a small amount so that we feel that the vocal is bigger and it has a bit more authority in the mix.
Take a ride Monday night and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync and all my words come out wrong. Oh, take a ride Monday night and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync and all my words come out wrong.
It's very subtle and there's a fine line between it being too much and it not really being effective. But somewhere around there to me just makes the vocal feel a little bit bigger. It makes the vocal come alive a little bit more. And it helps with that feeling of intimacy and up closeness, particularly if you're listening on headphones. It just helps the vocal to really feel like it's in your ear because of this widening boost and this sense that it's just taking up a bit more space in the whole stereo field. One of the things I mentioned throughout this whole series is that I want this whole thing to feel very natural. I want the song to have a natural feeling to it and a cohesion that comes from almost it sounding like it's all happening in a room. And one way we can achieve that with this vocal, which, as I say, was recorded on an SM7, and the SM7 doesn't pick up a great deal of natural room space, I want to bring some of that room feeling into the vocal, and that's going to help with the intimacy, with the rawness of the vocal, and it's just also going to help glue it in the mix a bit more as well. When we talk about sitting a vocal in a mix, a good way of doing that is to use some room reverb. So what I'm going to do is I have this room set up over here, and this is a preset from my Ultimate Pop Vocals pack called Very Subtle Room, and it is a very subtle room. It's Space Designer with an EQ before it, not that EQ, this EQ, scooping out all this low mid so we don't get a bunch of build up in and around here, which often happens with room reverbs. And this is all in the template. If you want to grab the mix template, you can do so for free on the link below. All of this is included in there. And then we have this little room preset, which sounds great. It's really effective. Let's dial some of this in and see where it feels good.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh,
Go to the second verse as well. Let's hear that for a bit.
babe, the sun is so hot here, did it get to you? I shake it up in the hemisphere, but I'm broken in two. Pieces of your paper drawings on the dashboard. When I think about my life, I think about yours.
You can hear that room reverb and that widener is just helping the vocal come alive a little bit more. It makes it feel more natural. It does something to just sit with the rest of the mix. I really like what that's adding. Now, I've spoken before about mixes having layers and having a foreground layer where the focus of the mix is, and then having this midground layer which kind of gives you the context. In the context of this mix, that foreground layer is the vocal. That's the thing I want to be in the front. The midground layer is the groove and all of the parts that make the groove. And then we have this background layer, which currently feels a little bit empty. I feel like the song could have more depth. We could fill that background space. We can often do this with things like vocal reverbs. So what I want is a vocal reverb that's going to be a bit darker. It's going to sit in the back of the mix. It's not going to get in the way of the vocal. It's going to have a separation from the vocal. And because of that, it's going to fill this space in the back of the mix, and it's going to make the whole mix come together a lot more. So I'm going to use this dark echo plate reverb and see what this sounds like. Again, this is from my Ultimate Pop Vocals pack. This is just the default setup, but we can tweak this. It's channel EQ, the echo, and then going into this ramp plate and Space Designer. Let's see what this sounds like. Let's just bring some of this in.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get?
I'm not loving the sound of that reverb. Let's see if we can find a better plate reverb. Let's try Midnight Plate.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh, say it like you mean it.
I really like aggressively EQing reverbs and shaping the tone that way. I'm actually going to put the EQ at the end here and see if that changes the tone.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh, say it like you mean it. Babe, the sun is so hot here, did it get to you? I shake it up in the hemisphere, but I'm broken in two. Pieces of your paper drawings on the dashboard. When I think about my life, I think about yours.
Okay, so the last thing that I want to do with this vocal is I feel like it's still sounding a little bit disconnected from the instrumental, and I feel like it could use a little bit more cohesion just so it doesn't totally feel like it's jumping out. And it'll also give the whole mix a bit more energy if we do this, which is using an eighth note delay just to put some movement between the vocal and the instrumental. And this should all come together with the reverb and feel like it's this sort of gluey thing that's happening in the background of the mix. I don't want it to be an obvious delay effect. I want it to just be part of this sort of spacey echoing that's happening behind the vocal. And that's just going to help with the cohesion. So I have this send over here, this eighth delay send. Again, it's this vibey delay preset from my Ultimate Pop Vocals pack. Let's take a listen to what this is doing. We can adjust this as we go. It's an instance of tape delay going into the silver verb just to smear it. And then this chorus. Let's just solo that up so we can hear what that's doing on its own. And then you'll see what a difference these things are making.
Take a ride, Monday night, and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh, say it like you mean it.
So that silver verb is not really acting as a reverb, it's just helping to smear the delay and make it a bit more diffuse and spread it across the stereo field in a way. I don't really like this spreader that's in the tape delay because it sounds phasey and introduces all kind of weird stuff. So I prefer using a bit of the silver verb just to push it across the stereo field and make it wider. And then let's see what this chorus is doing.
Take a ride Monday night and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on.
And then let's put that in with the other effects.
Take a ride Monday night and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on.
And then let's hear that in the whole mix.
Take a ride Monday night and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh, say it like you mean it. Take a ride Monday night and I'm a train wreck. The summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there?
Yeah, cool. That sounds good. It's very subtle, that delay, but it's just helping add more cohesion, more energy, and a bit more movement into the mix. And there's moments where, it feels like maybe there's a bit too much reverb, or there's moments where it feels like we could use a little bit more reverb, and maybe the vocal could come down, the vocal could come up, and that's what we use automation for, which is what we're going to be doing next week. We're going to be wrapping this mix up next week, looking at the backing vocals, using automation to make this work over the course of the whole mix, because we don't necessarily want this set it and forget it setup that's just going to run from the start to the finish of the mix. That's not particularly interesting. That's not how we create movement through the mix. So next week, we're going to be looking at that. But as the core vocal chain for this mix, I'm really happy with what we've done there. Let's take a before and after listen. If I just set up another track now and send this to the bus one, and then we'll call this Drivox. And let's take a listen before and after to the difference we've made using this setup down here and see how different it sounds.
Take a ride Monday night and I'm a train wreck. Summer sings and I'm alive, but I'm still holding on. You went away, but can you call me when you get there? I'm a little out of sync, and all my words come out wrong. Oh, say it like you mean it. For me, oh, tell me that you feel it.
So you can hear what a difference that's made, but it's also not a crazy jump. It's not like we've turned it from something that it never was into something totally different. We've just taken what was already great about the vocal and enhanced it even more and moved it closer to the plan for the feeling of the song that we set out in the beginning when we made a roadmap and we said, how do we want the song to feel? We're just constantly making sure that we have that in mind and that every move we make serves that feeling. So that's the vocal chain that I use on pretty much every mix, and those are the effects. This is the core principles of it is pretty much always the same. So we have this analog emulation stage and this correction stage, then this tone shaping through the additional compressor and through this bright vocal, and then obviously using this console EQ in this case on the whole track stack just to push a bit more mid-range, and then all of these effects. As I say, these effects are included in the template, so if you want to grab the template, you can do so for free right now. If you've already got the template and you want to add this vocal chain in, then just copy what I've done here. You can literally just copy this, save it into the template, and then you can recall that, and you have a repeatable system that you can use time and time again to get great vocals every time that you mix. Next week, we're going to be tackling the backing vocals and wrapping this whole mix up, so make sure that you come back for that. If you haven't watched the rest of the series, you can catch up right now on this playlist here, and I'll see you next time.